Good morning, Bitcoiners. If you're like me, many of you smart Bitcoiners have thought, hey, how do I get a job in Bitcoin? If you have a Bitcoin company, you might have said, how do I find the talent I'm looking for? You want to find the right skills and the right abilities, and that's where Bitcoiner Talent comes in. I have today Elizabeth and Nathan, who founded Bitcoiner Talent. It helps connect and place highly skilled, mission-driven Bitcoiners into working in roles that make companies successful. And so by partnering with companies and their hiring teams, they curate short lists of quality prospects, coordinate role definitions, interviews, offers, onboarding. What you need can be tailored to your needs. Elizabeth is co-founder and head of talent and a certified staffing professional with over 7 years of experience in talent engagement and relationship building. Nathan is a developer and techie guy who also created BitcoinerJobs.com, product director at Swan Bitcoin, with over 10 years in talent operations at technology recruitment. So I'm super excited to have both of y'all with me today, joining me. Welcome, Elizabeth and Nathan.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's great to have you. I know, Elizabeth, you and I had talked back in Vegas and before I was aware you were working on stuff, and I said, hey, if you want to be on sometime to talk about it, let me know. But you were still building. We've been building through this bear market, getting things ready, and it's getting there now, or it is there now. Is it ready to launch? How long has it been launched?
Yes, we're ready. We're rocking and rolling. We launched in the fall of last year. Nathan and I met and got together and started building, and we've proven the need and that we can be here to support it.
Awesome. I'm going to just bring to stage here. You can go to bitcoinertalent.com, connect with y'all there, read about more about what you're all working on there. Where I work, so I've gone to Bitcoiner Jobs, over the years. I check it out, see what's there and all that. And compared to, say, just employees and Bitcoiners seeing what's out there, what you're doing with Bitcoiner Talent is really connecting directly with the companies to help them say, hey, how do you find who you want? How do you define the role you're actually looking for, the job description? And then where do you find those people that can do that? And vetting those candidates, even things such as interviewing, selection, onboarding. Tell me all about Bitcoiner Talent and what you're doing.
I can give a bit.
Yeah, go ahead. I was taken away by some of the comments here. Hi, everyone listening too. And yeah, thanks for your comments.
Yeah, we have quite a few people watching live right now, friends of ours. So
awesome.
Thanks for joining us, everybody.
I went to join the chat, but there's a YouTube connection, and
I don't want to
have that all ready to kick. But hey, if anything comes up questions-wise, we can just talk about it live.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is a good distinction to sort of make between the Bitcoiner Jobs job board platform and what it is that we're doing with Bitcoiner Talent specifically. Like Bitcoiner Jobs is it's a free and community resource where, employers in the ecosystem and industry around purely Bitcoin only can post their jobs for free and get access to all of the Bitcoiners globally that are looking to land a job. They've gone down the rabbit hole. They're sick of fiat world, and now that the final jump is to going all in is to work in the industry. And that's going to stay that way because it really is for companies that can handle the recruitment themselves. But there is definitely there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes with recruitment that a lot of people don't see. There's a lot of time and effort that Elizabeth puts into all of the screening, the shortlisting, the understanding requirements, the culture, and doing those connections to ensure that as little time as possible is spent on hiring, so that more time could be spent on building, because that's what we need to be focused on. So that's where Bitcoiner Talent comes in. It's that if you're looking to grow rapidly, so the requirements that you're putting onto your recruitment team outgrow that team, but only for a short period of time, so it doesn't make sense to expand the team internally, or you're a small team and you don't have dedicated recruitment people in-house, and it takes a lot for, you know, a CTO or, you know, any head of department to run recruitment alongside getting a company off the ground. So that's where Bitcoin and talent can come in as well. And then the other side as well is, because we're such you know, it's still early, is a lot of companies haven't yet built the brand to attract the candidates that they're looking for. So Elizabeth does a great job of, you know, digging deep into all the different channels around Nostr, Telegram groups, Signal groups, Twitter, obviously, to unearth those Bitcoiners that, you know, you might not come across the job opportunity that some of those smaller companies have posted.
Right. Sometimes people looking for jobs think of the names they know, the vibe they recognize, the brand. And so, but there's a lot of companies out there that they do different behind the scenes work, or they don't just put themselves out there. They're very new, but they're doing bold stuff and they need that talent. And how do they get their name out there? Or when somebody sees that name, they're like, what is that? I'm not sure. What do I need? How do I learn more? So Elizabeth, you've got such great positive energy, the love of life and everything. The HR vibe that everyone would want to have when you're getting recruited or learning about a company. So that's great polish. So I see a really good synthesis between the two of you in knowing the community and the network. Where I work during the day, my daytime regular job, there's a mission statement. One of the core values is that relationships are primary. And so through and through, like what we do, no matter where you work and what you're doing, you might be working on the assembly line or doing code in a way, but ultimately you're interfacing with humans somewhere on the line. And it really boils down to relationships. Now, for Bitcoiner talent, through and through, so much of this is about relationships are primary. There are companies, techie people that start companies, startups that are just doing the stuff, but they may not be so good at that. Is that something you can help with?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly why we're here, connecting others. You're zoned in and you're focused on your build, and then you have the inspiration and possibility to bring someone else into the fold. You're missing a piece. Mm-hmm. And human potential is infinite. And I was just learning or remembering this morning that there's different size of infinites, and like each of us have infinite possibility. And Bitcoin being peer-to-peer, you know, you need your peers, and there's some possibilities that are only available when connected with the right people or in the right environment that sparks your passion or curiosity in specific ways. And mm-hmm. Yeah, like you were saying, there's time constraints and only so many seats to fill. And so it's really important, those individuals that you bring in to your team. Yeah.
And actually, you know, on your Bitcoiner Talent is on X as well, obviously, at Bitcoiner Talent. There was an article, and your site has a blog. There was an article.
It's pinned on my Twitter page, the What Creation Asks of Us article, or the article about preparing for a job in Bitcoin.
Yeah, that you can't just go on conviction alone. You do have to have the skill set. Mm-hmm. And this isn't loading right now, but I'll work on that. But I tell people you'll never give up. So as you polish your presentation and stack your skill set, and you keep working and learning and going, you get excited because you want a job and you want to just start putting yourself out there. But sometimes it takes time. I tell people never give up, you know, keep looking. Conversely, because your potential can be huge, and you just never know when that door opens up where that can go, and mm-hmm. a whole new world where you could learn on the job and move upward beyond. Now on the flip side, for companies that are hiring, hiring's hard. And sometimes the expectation is like you want that unicorn set of amazing skills. And so you're looking for this very difficult skill stack, and you're vetting through a lot of maybe applications. But is it as hard to hire that unicorn as it is to apply and get the right job?
Yes.
Yeah, there's quite a bit to unpack there. I think that you're absolutely right on not giving up. But it is key to understand that as not giving up doesn't just look like keep throwing applications around, or a really common one we see in the space, because once you understand Bitcoin and the mission that we're all on, the immediate reaction from a lot of people is to just do what they can to get involved in the space. And a lot of those people will start saying, they'll work for free on the side, or they don't have the skills but they're willing to learn, and high conviction. But it's important to note that that's sometimes more of a burden for companies that are in startup or growth mode, because it's like having an intern sometimes. And that's by no fault of the person that's got the high conviction and loves Bitcoin and wants to do their part, right? It's just, that is what it is. If you haven't been in the industry of software engineering or marketing for products or whatever it is, then the learning curve is there. You've done the Bitcoin, but the learning curve to actually learn the role is there. So it's important that when you're not giving up, to also continue to learn and also work on your own proof of work and projects. Especially now, like the day and age of the tools that we've got with agents and the capabilities of AI, starting something and getting your name out there has never been easier. So I'd say that, like, definitely push to learn every day and better your skills, and hone in, as well as continuing to apply and put yourself out there.
I think the more that you learn too, the more you're able to piece together all the bits that make you who you are today, to have the lens and perspective that you do, whether it's the way you were brought up, your education, those first jobs that you had, to jumping into your career. Maybe you've been blessed that you just immediately jumped into Bitcoin as your first career. And that's, a different kind of perspective too. But doing the work, the relationships that you have, the relationship you have with yourself is most important. To know yourself, your background, like what you care about, what you just happen to be drawn to and attracted to, like there's some reason for that, and being curious and letting your passion and your interests, kind of guide your direction and putting things together. And I think initially when you are resonating with what you're learning about Bitcoin, and enough to call yourself a Bitcoiner, then it's, how do I do more in this space, or take my talents and skills into this space? And it's like whatever you've been doing and what you have as your essence, like that's what you can bring into Bitcoin.
Companies are wanting to get to know you as well. Like you can have on paper a list of your skills, but the fit is about knowing who you are. And to connect that, it's like knowing yourself, who you are, and sharing that, being able to communicate that and connect the thread of like, why are you here? Or if we can pick from all these skills and different people, why you? And what's that fit? The one article I know I was looking at on Bitcoiner Talent, you can go to the blog here. There was a blog, and there was this article here, how to prepare for a Bitcoin company interview, a 3-step framework. And it touches on some of what you were saying, kind of like, okay, if nothing else, having that elevator pitch that, if somebody were just, you run into them, you cross them at a conference or a networking event, and it's like, what are you doing? What do you know? How do you do that? Who are you? And then some of the preparation, proof of work stories, and showing conviction through research, mission alignment, teammate energy. So that's what I was thinking of earlier, but connecting not just, but I've got all these skills. It's like, okay, yes. And who are you? What's that? We're humans, and what's that energy and vibe? Now, given that so many of the work, and I know this occurs at Swan and elsewhere, where many workers are remote these days, and employees, sometimes you get hired and you're working and you might not have necessarily met a lot of these people in person until like later an event or something. So you're doing all of this relationship building virtually. So you're also, there are skill sets in terms of camera impression and presence, but also just maintaining that. So you get to know people, you do the interview, you get onboarded, and then you're working, but it's integrating all of those skills also in this digital world. Is that a challenge, or it's a double-edged sword, right? Navigating all that?
Oh yeah, there's pros and cons. Nathan and I haven't met in person yet.
No.
And we've met a couple times now.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I think it's pretty, when you look at, if you look at our industry and like it's quite deep technically, right? Mm-hmm. I think and the day and age we're in, I think it's pretty standard for people to be natively digital. So I think it's a second nature these days. It's not always easy to get your personality across and gel with teams, but it's certainly not as hard as it used to be. We all know, the land of COVID and that craziness sort of catapulted and definitely changed the trajectory of remote work drastically. But I think it's like, we're all here for Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is for everyone, and Bitcoin is truly global. So it makes complete sense that Bitcoin companies, the ones that can offer remote, obviously on-site technicians at mining farms need to be there to handle the hardware, right? There are, and some people do stand by principles of having localized teams that can get in an office in front of a whiteboard, and that's fine as well. But the majority can roll remote, no problem. I think Swan founders, I can't remember how long it was, but it was before getting Yarns, Corey and Brady in a room together. I'm pretty sure it was a year plus, maybe not. It could have even been 2 years before they actually, all 3 of them were physically together in the same room.
It makes it that much more special when you are able to get in person, and being digital and global, like it allows for such greater collaboration than ever before. The possibility of ideas shared. And as I was mentioning earlier, like you need sometimes that other person that's been on a similar but different thought train. And there's a really good book called Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert, and she talks about like simultaneous inspiration, and another concept about like sharing before you're ready. You have ideas and pieces of your ideas, but to be able to make them, come into the world and be reality, you need others. Yeah, that's a good book.
Interesting. Creative living beyond fear. And fear can be such a mind killer, and we get nervous, we get scared. It can kill an interview, it can kill relationships. But people, when you're a Bitcoiner and now you're stretching your skills, you're meeting new people, you're doing stuff virtually, and you want to be validated, you want to be part of a team, and yeah, so basically overcoming all of that. How did the two of you meet virtually as it was, and then decide to start this? Tell me the origin story of Bitcoiner Talent.
I'll take this one. So rolling back to how I got into sort of working in the space was co-founding Bitcoiner Jobs alongside Corey. So it was Corey's idea. He was driving it through networking, Google Sheets, Telegram, trying to connect people with Bitcoin companies in the space. And it just, wasn't scalable. So we got together, built a job board, and that was kind of me seeing a door opening to get in the space, because before that I was trying to land a job working a fiat recruitment role. And not many Bitcoin companies were hiring internal teams just because of their size. But given my background, I was always keeping an eye on the industry and the market, and also people in the space, for two reasons. One was the timing for a Bitcoin recruitment service company, being too early and people not really wanting to pay for consulting services for recruitment. Bad timing can just make it land flat on its face. And the second thing was finding someone like Elizabeth. So I went up and down and round the idea a number of times. And then I actually, working at Swan, I work with Elizabeth's husband, who is an engineer at Swan. And we were on a call and talking about a project, and I could hear Elizabeth in the background, and I immediately knew that it was a recruiter call. Like, I could just tell by some of the things being said and the approach, and her energy was great on that recruiter call. So I asked Stephen, is your partner a recruiter? And he said yes. And I was like, is she a Bitcoiner? And he was like, yes. I was like, I need to meet her. And then it just sort of took off from there. We had a couple of calls, then a couple of messages, and then we looked at each other and said, are we doing this? And we did it. And awesome. I haven't looked back. It's been the best decision ever to partner with someone like Elizabeth to launch something like this.
Awesome. Well, that feeling is shared. We've had comments here. Stacy says that Elizabeth is amazing. Got Stacy her Bitcoin job. I know she's been working with a couple of gig side deals, and I don't know how she balances it all, but got to be super busy, Stacy. And of course, Biddy, we know sweet Biddy agrees. And people love Elizabeth, and you really need that. I suffer it for myself, but you can be a techie person and know the things, but then you're interfacing with other humans, and sometimes we're less charismatic than we intend, or the personalities are different. But it's awesome to hear. And now, when it comes to your business structure, you say you only pay for proof of work. So it's got to be pretty enticing to say that a company that works with you would pay nothing until a Bitcoiner is delivered. So for a company not sure what to expect in the hiring market, or how long will this take, how hard could it be, I don't know. We've had challenges already. Tell me about that business model and how that's working. You can work for somebody, work with them, see what they need, and do all the things, but until you get them a person, you don't charge them. Is that it?
That's true. Yeah. And I believe in the talented Bitcoiners that I help connect with the right companies, and their success is my success. And at the stage of a lot of these companies right now, like the candidates today are clients tomorrow. Stacy, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, as you're building your team.
Yeah.
It's the incentives, right? We understand incentives being Bitcoiners, and they need to be aligned. And traditional recruitment industry, it's very normal to charge retainers and you'll have SLAs and a contract in place and targets to hit, but there's no guarantee that you're going to hit them. So, you know, to walk through the door and be able to take money knowing that we don't then actually have to deliver. Obviously, it's in our best interest to deliver to continue a relationship. But, you know, say you're overloaded with work and everyone's paying a retainer, then you're getting money from everyone. Whereas the approach we take is we're aligned with the client that we will do the best to find the best. And we're now incentivized to really dig in and find the best to make sure that that candidate fits the client, gets hired, and then we can charge the fee. It just works better in
Yeah. It sounds, it would be really enticing for a company that aren't sure how hard up, their situation might be. They're not like, what price do you put on it? And what if it doesn't work out? But anyway, it sounds awesome. And then your process being fairly encompassing, where it's not just like finding bodies for chairs on the bus. It's understanding the company's needs, so you thoroughly understand their requirements, culture, and expertise. Targeted talent search, which between the networking, Bitcoiner jobs, everything else, finding the market pool out there, helping vet the candidates and make sure that the Bitcoin ethos is represented, and then seamless placement. Now, I've worked at big corporations, small startups in tech, and then the public sector and government. And I've seen a lot of different corporate cultures. Now, the most kind of wild, crazy environments can be in startups, where in startups, everyone's just busy, everyone's doing stuff. I guess I'll start with what kind of companies do you find that you serve? Is it more of the startup, small, we're early, or are there bigger companies that are like, oh, we have an HR department, can you just work with them?
I'm happy to work with HR departments that need some help too, and be an extension of their team. And as you were going through that, I was thinking too, it's equally as important, the vetting of the companies that we're working with. Mm-hmm. That they have the right ethos and culture for the talented Bitcoiners that we hope to place.
Right.
These companies that are building at the frontier of freedom and this pioneering work. That's equally as important. And so my digging into the company and understanding, everything that I can, so that I can explain that and share that with the candidate and make sure it aligns with their goals and with their background and where they see themselves fitting in. And
can you imagine yourself having to draw a line where there's a company that's like, yeah, we want to hire Bitcoiners, and they're really looking for a skill stack, and maybe they're doing other stuff, but yeah, we'll take Bitcoin. We do Bitcoin. And you're kind of like, you're not really a Bitcoin company, because the prospects that you're helping out are people who want the Bitcoin job. Is not like, oh, this is like another job and I'm just helping create a pay rail. You're looking for more than just, oh, we need a Bitcoin pay rail. It's more like a spirit should be there to connect something long-term that they might stick around and be part of the contributing, growing Bitcoin corporate community.
Yeah, I think it's pretty black and white. We're not like, we don't object to a traditional business looking to hire a team of Bitcoiners for their knowledge and understanding of Bitcoin. I think, that's a great sort of Trojan horse way to make sure that a Bitcoiner that knows it technically, but also the ethos gets in there and ensures that the parasitic crypto world doesn't start spreading in that organization and they stay focused on Bitcoin. But we 100% take calls, and then it'll be 3 minutes into the call and Elizabeth or I and I are DMing, and like you can just tell by the language in the conversation, and then we'll ask the question very direct about like any support for other tokens, crypto, whatever you want to call it. I'll keep it PC, and then they skirt around the subject, and it's like we know straight away like this just isn't a company we're gonna
you
sit
ask
down.
the right questions. People will tell you exactly who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we're not here to judge, like, do you? But what we're doing is focusing on Bitcoin and
Right.
It's the same as in-person events, right? You know, I'm sure we all have to go to a Bitcoin event, and you're going around the tables, around the bar, wherever it's hosted, and you're talking to people, and you'll find the Bitcoiners instantly, and you'll also find the shitcoiners instantly.
Right.
It's exactly the same no matter who you're talking to. It's a very clear signal that Bitcoiners give off, because you know we're very sure about what it is we're believing in, and it's not just something to put on our resume. It's not just a bubble buzzword. It's a mission and passion, and that comes through like without having to force it.
Yeah, you don't want to go to a Bitcoin conference and then find out, oh, this is just a bunch of stuff. And yeah, Bitcoin's there. You're going to vet the companies well, so that you know that the companies you represent and then the prospects that you find to connect all have the same through line and passion and ethos about it. Lucas here says that Bitcoiner Jobs got him his first internship, and says, thank you, Nathan. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, Bitcoiner Jobs, and just to touch on this, but it's a great resource for some of you out there watching that have you're a Bitcoiner with skills. And you can go to bitcoinerjobs.com, and there are really quite a lot of jobs out there, and you can search and sort and filter and all kinds of stuff. Now, when I go to Bitcoin Jobs, a lot of times, I think what companies are often looking for are those highly skilled technical jobs, or it can be finance, but it's often like strong expectations. Is the pool of candidates that are out there, are there now, it's early and growing, is there enough Bitcoiners with enough skill set to fill the need? Is there an imbalance in the demand for the skills that people are still catching up with? Is it
big highly skilled Bitcoiners on a global level are out there. The number of candidates far outweigh the number of opportunities, and the immediate gut reaction from a lot of people is, then you don't really need Bitcoiner talent, and it actually makes recruitment easy. I can tell you now, sometimes having more candidates to pick from and not having someone like Elizabeth to go through and shortlist that long list is actually more of a headache than having fewer candidates apply. So yeah, candidates far outweigh the opportunities in this space at the moment.
So we can direct people looking for jobs to Bitcoiner Jobs. If I have a growing company and I'm looking, now a lot of these startups are going to start small. You got to start somewhere. And so let's just say I'm looking to hire employee number 2 or 3. And I may know a lot of random Bitcoiners or, friends and things, but it's probably, would you say, is it good to kind of separate things like friends and family and acquaintances from the business of hiring? Because someone you like, or as a friend or as a fellow Bitcoiner, and you just like them, and it's natural for people to say, hey, will you work for me? Now that can be great. Also, you know how it can be when work is hard, or there's conflict or challenges down the road, and you realize that, oh, as a friend, he's, I know him. As an employee, it's different. You want to go through a process. I guess, what advice would you have for a company they're going to hire employee number 2 or 3? Where do they start? What do they do?
Yeah, that's a great question because, I mentioned it kind of earlier. You have a good idea, you have this company you're building, and now you have a missing piece and you need to find the other piece. And there's a lot of energy that goes into connecting with people and sharing the possibility and then living in that possibility together as you're, having discussions and imagining working together. And I can see how, someone who has a lot of relationships in the industry or even has family. I work with my family. I have a nonprofit. I work very intimately with my family on a variety of projects and initiatives. And that comes with its own challenges. And, also just beauty and the ability to do that.
Mm-hmm.
There's kind of it depends. It depends. There's a different space.
Like, I think my view on it, long and short, is if you're starting a company and you're hiring person 1, 2, 3, 4 early stages, you should know what you want, and you should be able to identify if your friend, peer in the local Bitcoin meetup group has the skills you need. Vice versa, if you want to test it out, you can also just, roll that person on a contract basis and trial it for 3 months and see how it goes. On the other side, that early on, the majority of teams are classed as the founding teams, and it should be pretty clear that, one, they're ready to jump on like a founder's journey with you, and 2, they have the skills to drive it forward. But as the main founder, you should if you're going to drive a company and you plan to grow it and it to be successful, you should know what you want from day one and also be able to identify that.
It can be a lonely journey though, and I think that someone like me, a recruiting partner, could really help in shaping those needs and how they're presented to potential talents to join the team.
100%.
And being like that buffer.
Yeah. I'd say that's a different thing though. Like, if you're looking at family and friends and trying to identify if they're right, they're already there, and you're just you can probably make that decision yourself. But to your point, it can be very lonely, where you've got the idea, you've founded it, you're starting to get, you're wanting to ramp things up, and you're looking for a founding CTO, or if you're technical and you're looking for a founding sort of, business side person. That can be tricky if there's no one in your immediate network, for sure.
Or because the space is so small too, you feel there's sensitive politics. You don't want to go pitching this person to join your team when they're on someone else's team that so having someone else who can ask them instead sometimes is beneficial.
I can imagine it gets dicey when there's great known talent out there and you find yourself trying not to poach, but also, they have their own personal free agency to pick something better. And so you get into some of those dynamics. Do you ever find that a lot of startups are going to want somebody who just knows the stuff, can work fairly independently, communicate well as needed, but is fairly independent, but companies want to hire somebody who can kind of hit the ground running and just plug in, start doing, and just do things, be productive. Do you find yourself having to integrate employees a lot, or helping companies know how to integrate so that, hey, you can hire somebody and they may be great, but let's just say that you want some length of time that they feel invested, relationships, connections, culture fit, and all that. Do you ever have to help companies, especially startups, integrate members to stay well instead of just filling spots and they go and do, but they're not that loyal about it?
Not necessarily. It happens organically or naturally when they jive and mesh and come into the team and the communication there. I really like keeping in touch with the Bitcoiner talents that I place and hearing how things are going. Things happen so fast sometimes in this space. So just paying attention and being there. You mentioned earlier, it's a lot of work. So, having someone there who's just like, hey, how are you doing? Like, it doesn't happen very often. And I feel honored to be that person that's just kind of checking in. And
Sometimes employees need like some validation or a sense of support from a supervisor or more than just the regular meetings or something. I don't know, younger generations, they're not always very loyal to jobs. They kind of bounce around and all that. And maybe it's not a concern that people are going to do that. There's going to be that movement. So I don't know how much work it takes to make sure they feel that connection and integration.
Yeah, I start that really early on in the vetting process when I'm talking about the opportunity. And like I said, I'm envisioning it with them and feeling if it feels right on both ends. And so from the beginning, they're putting themselves in there and feeling that ownership and that agency. It's in the way that the job description is laid out. The expectations are there. And then the way that we discuss how their relevant background and perspective can, further and compound the results from them being able to step into that role. And I like to think from initial conversations that I have with them that I plant seeds that grow and grow and grow. And as they join the team, because I'm excited about the role, because I'm excited about the team and the company I'm supported. And then they get excited too. And being there and cheering them on. Like, I don't know, it's special. And there's a lot of connection and growth from that.
I see two things. One is a lot of the requirements we're working on are pretty senior. So that's sort of need for validation isn't as high. The work they do and the feedback in the results they're delivering for the company they've just joined is the feedback they need. I think you tend to see that integration need and validation need a slightly more junior earlier on in that specific career track type of candidate. But the other piece as well is like this isn't standard recruitment, right? It's Bitcoin companies hiring Bitcoiners. There's so much that's already spoken before you even talk to Elizabeth, let alone walk through the door. It's like Bitcoin itself is one big company, and the company you're joining is actually a department in that bigger company. Right. You're just finding your little team within the wider, North Star mission that Bitcoin has set. So it's definitely different, and we've seen pretty high-profile people at other Bitcoin companies, like Christian at Brains, who's an absolute legend, by the way. A great character, like one of the funniest Bitcoiners I've ever met, and one of the most loving and supportive. He was an early supporter in Bitcoiner jobs and my personal Bitcoin journey. But awesome. he has personally spoken out about hiring into the marketing team at Brains and like categorically saying, right, that's it, no more. I'm only hiring Bitcoiners, because like the retention issues of hiring someone with the hope that you can sort of convert them, or they or the hope that they get that same burning fire in their belly for Bitcoin that you also have, is a massive risk, and it can cost you a lot of time. Whereas now, as if you just hire a Bitcoiner from the outset, the money it will save you on integration or risk of them not staying on or not gelling with the team or not getting it is a big plus. Like you should do it from the offset. You shouldn't like, I think that I don't know what the number is, right? But the percentage odds of finding someone that isn't a Bitcoiner and them becoming a Bitcoiner as you want them to be versus just hiring a Bitcoiner. Yeah, I wouldn't take that trade-off. I'd just hire the Bitcoiner from day one.
Right. Yeah. Once you're in the ecosystem and if you're in the Bitcoin community and you're working in the Bitcoin ecosystem at all, there at a certain level, you get it. The passion and the energy and all that understanding is already there. So you're not doing the same things that other recruiters might do, looking for a chemical engineer at Dow or something and saying, so you like plastics? It's more like, no, this is all Bitcoin. So it's got its own flywheel going already in that regard. So that makes a lot of sense. And I will mention, thinking of incentives and all that stuff, I'll just touch upon the fact, Nathan, that you had built Zap Tipper. So in Slack, it's a way for zaps to happen, rewards for behavior or for work and things. Do you want to mention this, talk about this at all in terms of one way that you can incentivize and reward employees on the job?
Yeah, it can. Sure. I mean, it can be used for, management to reward the team directly in Slack, and it can also be used for just peers to buy someone a beer, right? Like, we spoke about how many of the teams that working in Bitcoin are remote. Mm-hmm. And we've sort of, the remote culture, from what I've seen, has fallen into this sort of kudos HR platform shout out, or Slack emojis on a post in
gold stars.
Yeah, and it's like it's great to see someone's reaction to the work you've delivered.
Yeah.
But it's the same as, like, the cost of that is the same as just hitting the little heart like button on any social media platform. It's certainly lost its clout. So yeah, I had this fun idea and built it a while back, and then fine-tuned it, and then pivoted hard to make sure it was non-custodial, and now it's up and running. It's something that any company can add to their Slack at the click of a button. It goes through their OAuth authentication. It's fully, it's a fully licensed Slack agent application. And it's non-custodial. You use commands in Slack. So for anyone that uses Slack, you'll know commands. So you just hit /zap wallet, you enter an LN URL, and then you can hit /zap, and it'll bring up a nice little form where you can add the recipient's name, the amount of Bitcoin you want to send them, and a shout out message. And you hit send, you pay the invoice from your any Lightning wallet and confirm that you've paid, and then the shout out lands in the channel where you started the command.
Awesome. Yeah. And a lot of companies are using Slack. I mean, as opposed to emails and stuff, like at Swan and elsewhere, where there's an ongoing Slack feed of stuff that's the work getting done. And with remote employees, that's where they're connecting live and steadily all day. So yeah, totally. It works. Thank you, Lucas, for joining. That's awesome. Now maybe you've already answered my question, but I was thinking that HR is such a bunch of rabbit holes of things, and because you can be working on, so like I keep thinking of small companies or startups, but you connect with a company, great company, and they're looking to hire and do all these things, and you realize they don't really have any HR together, or they have a semblance of HR, but they got a lot of HR work to build up and do. And it could be like, having the proper job descriptions, or doing any kind of staff evaluation or feedback, or the conflict management, et cetera. Could you imagine getting connected and working with a company for onboarding, and then finding out there's a lot of other general needs that they have, and you have to draw a line with that to say, we do onboarding and transitioning and all that for you, but it has to stop somewhere because you find out they kind of just need to hire an HR person. Maybe you find them an HR person.
Yeah, so I'm not HR. I do handle humans, uh, help connect humans. But yeah, I'm the recruiting arm of the HR team. And we do have, two different types of ways that we can work with companies, either standard recruitment, where I would be collaborating with their HR recruiter, others that are on the search, or post to placement. So we'll help with the creation of the job description to placement. And then beyond that, my support is less HR function than checking in as a recruiter, following along the journey, and the placement, the success of the placement. But the company then takes on from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Makes perfect sense. Now, when it comes to things like LinkedIn, I will show you have Bitcoiner talent is on LinkedIn. People use LinkedIn. We have our LinkedIn profiles and things. Bitcoiners and techie folks that I've met, they have a mixed relationship with LinkedIn because it has a lot of extra side stuff or how targeted it is. Would you say that is LinkedIn still a good place to help build up your profile, present yourself, be a place? And now some job applications ask for it, but is LinkedIn a good tool that you might use to say, whether you're telling candidates or having companies curate and present themselves on LinkedIn as a place to go find things, network, connect, recruit? What's your thoughts on LinkedIn?
It's totally helpful. I've spent a lot of time in LinkedIn. My talent acquisition spanning back 8 years. It's a great, the search bar, you can find people by, what you're interested in. You can look at people and roles that you're aiming for and see how they got there. The way that it's able to pull in, the logos of, I can see the alumni from the University of Dayton and connect and see where people have gone and grown. It's almost like professional Facebook, but
a living resume.
Being a Bitcoiner and being more and more thoughtful of your privacy and your presence and what aspects of it you control or are just out there that, the incentives are not right. I'm understanding of people who don't want to get on LinkedIn, who want to have different avenues of sharing their work. LinkedIn's great. It's easy to use. It's a live resume. You can download the PDF and send it over. If that's what you want to do, that's great. But it's certainly not necessary. You don't have to be online or on social medias. You don't. I even work with people who share their NIMs with me before their name, or maybe won't share with me their name unless they have to, and that's fine.
Yeah.
So it's one way to go.
Yeah. And you can also tell, like, someone curates their LinkedIn profile all around Bitcoin and Bitcoin skills. As a recruiter, people looking at skills out there, seeking what, you don't know what you don't know, but you go find stuff. And you can read people's bios and how they present, like, oh, I'm a Bitcoiner applying for a Bitcoiner job. And maybe their background is, or maybe it's not so much, but it's more information for you to go with. So like as a Bitcoiner, you can curate a very good LinkedIn profile about and around Bitcoin and that skill set. And like, hey, you want a Bitcoiner job? Your LinkedIn reflects Bitcoiner incentives and passion too. And so that can be a real positive for prospects.
Yeah, any of your work, any kind of fingerprints you leave behind that are making up who you are in the world. Actions speak louder than words, and words on a page can be great and help, clarify where you've been and where you're going. But that work around it, you can feel the energy in what people share, whether it's Substack or Noster or, wherever, whatever channel you want to share your work on, GitHub.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I often think from the perspective of someone looking for a job, and you touched on this, Nathan, where I would hear stories about people who know code or are dabbling in AI. They know Bitcoin, not as much as they'd like, but they're learning and they're trying to get in. You apply and you apply and you apply, and it's a big pool. It's a global pool, and companies are selective. So, one, not giving up, but keep trying, keep polishing your presentation, and putting it out there. But is it hard? I guess aside from just not giving up, what are some good techniques for someone to do to really reach out, contact recruiters directly, aside from Bitcoiner jobs, what are some tactics there?
Oh, there's a lot you can do. Like Bitcoiner jobs also has a company tab, right? So any company that makes it onto Bitcoiner jobs has been vetted by yours truly to make sure that they're Bitcoin only. There may be some old lagging employers that haven't posted for a long time. There's like 500 employers that haven't posted for a long time and may have pivoted to do something bad, but they're not actively hiring. There's a list there of Bitcoin companies straight away.
Mm-hmm.
I will say Bitcoiner jobs doesn't always have all of the live requirements, so you can build a hot list of your companies that you would like to join, and maybe use AI to develop an RSS feed, or go and just constantly check in on them, follow the companies, etc. Definitely get into the DMs of the team there. It's a lot of the time you may connect with someone that just isn't involved with hiring, and that's fine as well, but you'll make connections and they'll maybe send on your name or try and connect you to the right person that's hiring. Definitely join our talent pool. You can contact us through our site. We've also got a general open application on Bitcoiner jobs all the time, so you can land in our talent pool. So as soon as we get requirements, that's the first place we'll check and see if we've got someone that fits the bill. There it is, open application right at the bottom. So the other thing as well is, like, we're a very active online community. Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Endless podcasts with live chats. There's Telegram groups. Be careful on Telegram if you're new to it. It's
job offers all the time.
Yeah, you got to be careful on Telegram. Signal groups. Go to local meetups. There is meetups everywhere. Like you wouldn't believe, unless you really look at the Bitcoiner sort of event and meetup networks, just how vast this thing is spread, which is beautiful. Bitcoin is open source code, open source projects. There's endless open source projects around Bitcoin. Like, you don't need any interview and job offer to go and work on something you love by joining an open source project and contributing. If you give a valuable contribution, it's going to be noticed. And the common misunderstanding is that all the open source projects need just technical people, and that's a lie. They need product people, they need copy people, they need just general good organization and documentation people. Like, yeah, just put yourself out there, and if you've got the right hunger, you'll see it through and land a job.
Would you ever tell anybody looking for a job that, okay, so say they know code, they know some AI, but they're like, man, I just can't compete at such a technical level. Would you go for the job just to get you into the Bitcoin ecosystem as like an onboarding specialist or customer service and get
Yeah,
in and then go from there?
100%. If you are in a financial position where you could potentially take a lower paying job, or sidestepping into a different kind of career path, which is may come with a salary cut because you don't have the skills and you want to prove yourself, and it's a foot in the door strategy, 100%. But make sure you're ready for that, and not just the excitement is making that decision. Because if you make the excited decision to do that and then you realize, oh, financially I can't do this, because there's nothing, like, just put it out there as well, there's nothing wrong with mining fiat and buying more Bitcoin, right? Not everyone can work in Bitcoin. That's the truth as well, right?
Sure.
That's got to be understood. And sometimes it makes sense if you've got a family and you need to mine that fiat, or you've got a stacking goal, and sometimes joining a startup, a big part of the package is equity. You might take less cash home, therefore you're stacking less. It's going to take longer to hit your stacking goal. Maybe you want to hit your stacking goal before you join a Bitcoin company. Everyone's situation is very different. So yeah, really think it through before making the jump. But 100%, that's it is a great strategy to join CS onboarding, general product support, to get a foot in the door and then work into different departments.
Awesome. And I want to be respectful of your time, but my next thought really is that we've been riding through this year of a bear here, in the cyclical nature of, the fiat number go up on Bitcoin. It can put kind of a chill or a slow season to Bitcoin. But what I see coming is, with the rising tide, all the ships are going to go up. Companies are going to be building more, capitalizing more, hiring more. There's going to be more jobs out there. There's going to be more interest and excitement. And so I see a golden future ahead where a lot's going to start picking up and getting busy here, maybe whatever, end of this year, next year, but coming.
Today.
And when that happens, you're going to be vetting even harder. How based Bitcoin are you? Like, people come in and they're all excited, and I want to get in this too. I've known Bitcoin now for a year.
Yeah.
And excited as they are, there are people in this space that have put in years of work and gone through this, but you're going to be vetting the quality. And there's also in managing all the frothy excitement as well. So do you see a bright future ahead of us coming soon?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we've been in a bull market since Bitcoin had a ticker. The building happens in the bear, but you're 100% right. Like, funding, it's no different in the Bitcoin world when it comes to raising funds, etc. Like, sometimes it's more scary when price action is crabbing sideways or going down, for sure. But Bitcoiner talent, just like every other Bitcoin company in the space, has been building through the bear. So when it hits, we'll be ready. Elizabeth will be ready to make sure that quality bar doesn't drop, no matter how big the flood that comes is and how high the excitement is. We will keep that steady bar high of, do you match? Do you get Bitcoin, or is it a buzzword? And like we spoke about earlier, it's 3 minutes into a conversation, you can tell if someone's done the proof of work to read the books, listen to the podcast, join the community, and understand Bitcoin, versus someone that is seeing it and hearing it again because it's on mainstream news and they've got a little bit of Bitcoin in their Coinbase account alongside Ethereum and anything else, and the price has gone up, and now they're thinking, oh, I'm going to go work in that space.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's not the length of time they've been in Bitcoin, but the depth of time they've spent getting into Bitcoin.
and they don't have all trigger words, Web3 or crypto or some of those things where it's like, are you though? But
Right. That triggers the red flags, but I still look at them, and
yeah,
because I am understanding, there's some colleges that only have the crypto club. So like,
right.
I don't have my AI turned on. So it's just like wiping those people out. I'm looking at them very carefully.
Awesome. And by grinding now, you're prepped and ready to, take advantage of the opportunities that come. And
Yeah.
I will bring the stage here for people who are looking as a company. If you want to hire Bitcoiner talent, go to bitcoinertalent.com, connect with Elizabeth and Nathan, find the right people for the jobs that you need. And they are on X at Bitcoiner Talent. You can find them at Bitcoiner Talent, of course, and on LinkedIn as well.
Mm-hmm.
You can find both Elizabeth and Nathan. Go ahead.
And Noster.
Oh, and not Noster. Yes. Let's see here. I've got if it'll load here. Yes. Bitcoiner Talent is on Noster here. They've got their, in the show description, I've got their profile link in there, and you can connect with them on Noster. I just searched for Bitcoiner Talent and found y'all there. So if you do Noster, find Bitcoiner Talent on Noster. And both Elizabeth and Nathan are also on X, so you can connect with them there as well. Bitcoiner Liz, you can find Elizabeth, and Nathan is at N_D3NN. There's Nathan.
Yeah, sorry for the trickier one to say.
Good name.
Just clarity.
Yeah.
Bitcoin Talent Co. is an old recruitment company that is no longer around. Don't confuse us with them. It's bitcoinertalent.com, not
right.
Bitcoin Talent Co. We've had that confusion on a few calls. I'm going to try and hammer it home and make sure that our brand shines through and doesn't get confused with that older brand. So it's bitcoinertalent.com.
Bitcoinertalent.com. It's by Bitcoiners for Bitcoiners. So, yes.
That's it. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me. Is there anything that I didn't get to that you wanted to make sure was shared about Bitcoiner Talent that should be brought up?
I feel like we really covered a lot. Yeah, we're here. We're ready to support, and excited to be on the mission.
Awesome.
Yeah. If you're hiring, reach out. If you're looking for a job, reach out. And we've got the Bitcoiner Cupid here in Elizabeth who will do the matchmaking and make sure you land in there.
I am a Sagittarius. Fun fact.
Ooh.
There we go. It's meant to
know
be.
your astrology for the interview, folks.
No, that won't be a necessity. No. But hi everyone listening in the chat too. I want to say hi to Sweet Biddy and Stacy. Bring facts. Steve is watching.
Yeah, we've had a lot of good interest from friends at the Bitcoin Army and elsewhere.
Marissa.
Who, and Sweet Biddy. I didn't make the connection till later, but Sweet Biddy connected me to the Love of Life Festival and the nonprofit you have, which we could talk about at another time and another closer to the event perhaps. But that's a whole nother very personal and deeply loving, amazing foundation that you created there as well. I know we're out of time, but that's something to really get into as well, because that touches you deeply and is super empowering and helpful for families in the world. And Sweet Biddy told me about that when they got together in last March in Florida.
I got to meet her in person. We're only given this one life. And I think it's really cool how these different aspects of my life are coming together. And I like being a part of other people's journeys, having that happen too. I'm excited to continue the conversation with you and maybe come on again next time. Our Love of Life Festival's in March. March 6th.
Saturday, March 6th, 2027, Marion County Road, Weirsdale, Florida. So that's next year coming up, but Sweet Biddy was telling me about that. And it's a side discussion, separate topic, but something important and amazing to talk about. So we will have to talk about that someday down the road. So
We will.
but it speaks to who you are, the spirit behind why we do this stuff at the deepest level. It's not just Bitcoin is more than just numbers and tech and finance and things. There's a gestalt to all of this that feeds our deepest parts of our souls of why we Bitcoin. And additionally, in your life, there is something very, very deep based on love that also feeds why we do what we do every day. So it's
love
awesome.
is forever. It's the energy. I see Bitcoin Cuz here in the chat too.
Yep.
His book is incredible. I'm on chapter 2.
Yeah.
The Belief Machine.
Yep. Awesome book. I'm almost done with it. I've been chipping away as I've been busy, but I had him on to talk about it. I love it. It's the kind of topics and stuff that I think about intellectually all the time. So anyway, thank you.
I'm rereading sentences like out loud. It hits differently. It's very cool.
Yeah. I've really enjoyed those thinkings and the mind behind it. Yeah, it's awesome. So I love it. Awesome. Elizabeth and Nathan, I'll let you get to your day. Thank you so much. This has been fun. I love to see what you're doing, connecting people who want the best jobs in the world to the best companies in the world, doing the best kind of work we can be doing to free ourselves and do Bitcoin. So thanks for joining me today.
Appreciate the time. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah,
See
you're
you all
welcome.
soon.
All right. We'll catch
Bye.
everybody else next time, everybody. Bye.